Hey everybody, you are tuning into the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. Welcome to all, and a big congratulations to Brenda over on YouTube with the first comment of the day. Congratulations, Brenda. And to the rest of you, welcome as well, and congratulations for making it to the show. We are going to get started here in just about a half a minute, but I wanted to remind y'all, first of all, make sure to like the video, subscribe, hit the bell button, and hit the all button after that. Really helps out the algorithms to share out the show to those who have not heard it before. Also, remember to follow us on multiple platforms. That includes twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio, youtube.com/Canary Cry Radio, DLive. We're everywhere, baby. Follow us all over the place, or else. Okay, stay hydrated. Let's go.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is January 15th, 2020. This is episode 287. And today, Billy Gates of Hell will not prevail. That's right. And I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to the podcast where we praise Jesus while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And we are here on a Friday. Happily podcasting to you, hopefully not too laggy.
No, so far so good, I think. And oh no, I'm lagging a little bit, but that's okay. What was I going to say? Oh, it's Friday, and it's strangely fairly quiet news-wise since Wednesday's show. Nothing going on, but compared to what we had to sort of adjust to since January 6th, and arguably since the election, pretty quiet overall, which I guess is kind of nice. Take a little bit of a breather. Quiet as in there's been no, overtaking of government buildings or obvious, explosions of propaganda.
Yeah, although I'm getting messages from my military buddy that he basically has been told that they could be moving into different states and to prepare for the 20th. And so there's a lot of prep happening for the inauguration, which is strange.
In response to the fake protests that are going to be going on?
That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of manpower. There were like pictures of soldiers scattered across the floor sleeping.
Yeah.
To protect
tanks. Tanks on some train tracks.
I mean, I don't know what they plan to do, but it just seems like it's a big setup for a huge false flag is the feeling I get. And it's either going to be nothing or the biggest false flag in American history.
Yeah, which at this point, it could easily be either.
I know.
There's been
That's what I'm saying.
False flags when we weren't expecting them coming out of nowhere, and then that we can all be expecting the biggest event ever, and then nothing happens. That's just kind of how 2021's been so far.
Yeah.
That's why we're here, Gonz, to keep everybody posted.
Yeah, before we get into the episode, just want to remind everybody.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
Just lift that from Ivan on Tech over there because it just summarizes it so well and it gets stuck in your head.
That's right. Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Okay.
On YouTube anyway. If you're not on YouTube, then do all that stuff too. To whatever platform you're on. And also leave reviews. Are you doing reviews today? Or reading reviews?
Yes, we had a wonderful one. I can't wait to read.
Cool.
But yes, thank you. If you could please do that on YouTube. I know, people, whenever we say that, people are like, oh, you're just going to bow down to the algorithms. Yeah, I mean, it's the only way to get people to It's the only way to get people to hear the show. So I don't know. It's a inconsequential thing to ask people to do. So thank you very much. Okay, you want to get into it here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Whee!
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, we're going to start out with don't worry, simple, easy to understand, not terrifying at all. Flippy update. And if you're new to the show, don't worry. Flippy is the colloquial name we have for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore how robots and AI are taking over the world, and there's nothing we can do about it. This story is coming from MSN.com. And originally from CNET, and it says here, robot shows empathy towards another robot in new study. It's kind of long and complicated, but we'll just get started and see how it goes. Robots can climb rough terrain, help humans maintain social distance protocols, and even dance like nobody's watching. Now, researchers have discovered they might show glimmers of empathy. Ooh. A new study from Columbia Engineering, published Monday in Nature Scientific Reports, shows how one robot has learned to predict its partner robot's future actions based on just a few video frames. Quote, our findings begin to demonstrate how robots can see the world from another robot's perspective, lead study author Boyuan Shen said in a statement. Boyuan. The researchers placed one robot in a playpen, roughly 3 by 2 feet in size. The researchers programmed the robot to find and move toward any green circle in its view. Sometimes the robot would see a green circle in its camera view and move directly toward it. Other times the green circle would be blocked from view by a tall red box. So the robot would move toward a different green circle or not move at all. Oh, there's a cat on my head. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, he's getting daring. Oh, yeah, by the way, I have an announcement. This is Monty the Fourth.
All right.
Has just joined the family here. Wow, what a special way to meet the public here at Monty the Fourth. Okay, back to the robots. Uh-oh, he's on the keyboard. Uh-oh, chaos. Okay. After observing the other robot move around for 2 hours... I'm sorry, now the cat's tail is in the way. Move.
Mooning the camera.
Yes. Sorry, everybody. After observing the other robot move around for 2 hours, the observing robot could anticipate the other robot's path. The observing robot was eventually able to predict the other robot's path 98 out of 100 times in varying conditions. Quote, the ability of the observer to put itself in its partner's shoes, so to speak, and understand without being guided whether its partner could or could not see the green circle from its vantage point is perhaps a primitive form of empathy, Shen said. And I got to say, Gons, I do agree with one thing. That might be the most primitive form of empathy I have ever heard of. And the article goes on, and it's just kind of technical, uninteresting stuff. But there you go. So watch out, folks. Treat your robots well, and they will treat you well. I think this is a little bit of a leap, but if indeed the robots are, gaining robotic feelings and empathy towards other robots, not only do you got to treat your robots well, you got to treat your robots well in front of other robots. You can't let other robots see you be mean to Siri.
Yeah, seems like nobody in the chat cares about the Flippy story. They care more about Monty the Fourth.
Yes, Monty the Fourth. He made quite the entrance there.
Stole the show.
But none of us should care about the Flippy update and only care about cats. So I agree.
But also, this little diagram here on the story has the observer, the actor, the obstacle, and then the food. The food, these it said green circles, or in the story, but they look like little coronaviruses, don't they? They look like little spiky protein.
Yeah. Oh, it's part of the brainwashing.
They want Flippy to go after. the Rona's there.
Oh, well, okay. Thanks, Flippy. So there you go. That's your Flippy update for the day. We take every chance we can to stay up to date with the robots' plans to take over the world. And some people think it's trivial, but I'll be the one laughing when they take over.
Poly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
They'll suck your blood. They'll suck
Politics.
your blood.
Ooh.
Politics. That's the perfect jingle for the politics section.
Yeah, it's poly. Many ticks suck your blood.
Yep, politics. This is breaking911.com. BLM activist arrested for siege on U.S. Capitol. And this was making its rounds. Very interesting that Toole County Sheriff's Office, number 106616. Very fascinating. Because not only does it have like the 3 sixes in there, it also has the 616, which some translations of Revelation 13, is translated instead of 3 sixes, it's translated 616. So, yeah, something to keep in mind.
I have
there.
heard that. Yeah.
Washington, D.C., Utah man was charged today in federal court in the District of Columbia in connection to the riots at the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday, January 6th, 2021. John Earl Sullivan, a Black Lives Matter activist and anti-Trumper, was charged by complaint with 1 count of knowingly entering or remaining in any restricted building or grounds with lawful authority or without lawful authority, 1 count of violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds, and 1 count of interfering with law enforcement engaged in lawful performance of their official duties incident to and during the commission of civil disorder. He was arrested today in Utah. There's a lot of stuff out there. People were calling this out beforehand, but I mean, it's just, I guess, confirmation of the idea that the people that stormed the Capitol were not necessarily your mainline Trump supporter.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the only one. There's a couple others that were arrested too.
There's been a lot of breakdowns of a lot of those main guys that show up in a lot of the videos, which is interesting because, of course, if you're going there to incite things, which means things will be starting around you, you're going to have a lot of camera attention, whether planned or unplanned, and your face is going to show up. I saw this one where they're trying to connect this guy with a known. He attended Black Lives Matter protests, whether he's BLM or Antifa proper or just some, the ideological guy showing up.
You're talking about a different guy, not this guy that we're talking
about. Different guy.
The guy with the beard?
But the guy with the beard,
yeah,
right. Yeah. And it was interesting because once I think it was a live streaming person came up there inside the Capitol building and they were like, "Oh, hey, what's going on? Tell me the narrative. What's going on?" And he basically sloughs him off, realizing there's a camera in his face and says, "Well, go find out for yourself," and puts on his gas mask real quick. Which, like, dude, you're on so many cameras. Why are you?
I think the same guy was recorded outside telling a media personnel, "Do you want the story of your life?"
Mm-hmm.
And
that exact guy.
grabbing him, bringing him towards the chaos. So, yeah, I mean, the thesis is that these were agent provocateurs, and the evidence seems to suggest that even at low levels, it doesn't have to be this grand conspiracy. It could just be a whole bunch of Trump haters that are like, "Oh, we're going to make the Trumpers look bad," and
and that's part of the disinfo, and we might need to just review at least the operative words disinfo and misinfo that we use on this show. Misinfo is more like incorrect information.
Right.
Disinfo is purposefully planted information. Yes. Yeah. So, and that's interesting to watch on the news or different outlets. They'll talk about misinfo and disinfo, and a lot of people don't really think about the difference between those two things. So in this case, he seemed like a disinfo agent. And part of the disinfo, when it comes to, Antifa, or even with white supremacists, they're talked about in the mainstream media as if they were some sort of organized Illuminati type centralized controlled group, when in reality it's more ideologically driven, where there's an ideology behind everything, but there's not like centralized leadership. And that's why, for instance, Antifa is more of a broad, it's kind of like saying anonymous,
Right.
Anonymous isn't an actual institution or it's a loosely based decentralized group bound by ideology. So yes, if you say Antifa came and did this thing, it might give people the impression that there's like some secret group, highly skilled, blah, 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 with very powerful leadership called Antifa, when in reality, it could be somebody with Antifa-like ideology, but is just sort of either part of a smaller group or just some guy who had nothing better to do on a Tuesday and wanted to cause some trouble. Now, that might be sort of unimportant, on a practical level. But for us, or at least for myself, when we're talking about Antifa, or we're talking about Anonymous, or we're talking about different things like that, it's more of an ideologically driven individual, or to put it in spiritual terms, they're acting under a principality or something like that. So you'll have a hard time going and finding Antifa LLC, but
Sure.
It lives on in a decentralized form.
So you're saying this is a decentralized evil spirit?
Demonic power!
Oh, to put it in so many words, possibly yes.
And then at the government level?
Psyops.
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh, same with QAnon.
Yeah, and we'll get to
I would
QAnon
put
in a moment.
QAnon in that same thing. There's no like centralized QAnon command center, but it's an ideology that spreads. And
Well, some people would argue with you on that point.
well, they would argue with the Antifa thing too.
I know.
But that's just my view, and I think it's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I think it explains a lot of the inconsistencies that tend to mix up, current events.
Sure. Yeah. So I wanted to bring this story as well, which was this was actually Time magazine, time.com, and they posted this article that was titled "White American Christianity Needs to Be Honest About Its History of White Supremacy," written by Carrie Wallace. I'm not going to actually read the article because you kind of get the idea of what they're trying to do here. But I actually responded with a couple screenshots here from a book that it's been very fascinating to go through this book. It's called Two Masters and Two Gospels, The Teaching of Jesus versus the Leaven of the Pharisees in Talk Radio and Cable News, written by our friend, Dr. Future, Mike Bennett.
Hey, Doc Future.
And I just responded that because it goes after the white supremacist Christian history of America and all this. But it's interesting because Dr. Future in his book says this quote, if I can get my little thing open here, regarding the use of psychological warfare on civilians by the government with the use of religion in 1951, Truman set up the Psychological Strategy Board, PSB, comprising the CIA, Department of State and Defense, and others, and studied, quote, the potential role of religion in psychological warfare. Their first report stated that, quote, the potentialities of religion as an instrument for combating communism are universally tremendous. Religion is an established force which calls forth men's strongest emotions. Our overall objective in seeking the use of religion as a Cold War instrumentality should be the furtherance of world spiritual health. So, again, we've mentioned this before, but just wanted to show the documentation here of the deliberate weaponization of white Christians in America, which was instigated in 1951 with the Psychological Strategy Board. But not only that, this is Time Magazine, right? Time Magazine doing this. In a couple paragraphs later in the book, it says this, quote, a similar organization called the Crusade for Freedom was founded in 1950 involving U.S. senators, publishers like Time founder Henry Luce. So here we have Time Magazine calling out white American Christianity needs to be honest with the white supremacy. But then in Dr. Future's book, it calls out that there are organizations weaponized, part of the weaponization of white America, white Christians, with Time, the founder of Time, being part of that propaganda machinery. So yeah, just calling them out on the floor. Of course, nobody cares because it's just like information that doesn't get people, I don't know, social points or whatever. But just very interesting when you start looking at the history. I know people get really riled up in the evangelical stuff, and even if you're objectively looking at the spiritual kind of religious persona of the Trump presidency, a lot of the people that were by President Trump's side were dominionists. Like people that you're kind of a little iffy on their theology, but they're up there, they're invoking God and all this. So it's just very interesting and very important, I think, to keep in mind that most of politicized anything is a psyop,
right.
Including, obviously, Time Magazine here trying to blame white American Christianity for white supremacy. And it just continues on and on and on. This has been ongoing, but now they have a great... what do you call it? I don't know, a pedestal, a soapbox to stand on with what happened on January 6th with the raiding of the Capitol building and all this kind of stuff. And I feel like this type of article is also setting up for that false flag on Inauguration Day across the country. Right. All 50 states, beware.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see a history repeating itself like that.
Yeah.
We've gone over the incremental and meticulous transference of American evangelicals from sort of a politically dispersed group into a single political power, not by people that Christians would have liked to be around, sort of grouped up by, but it's continuing and probably going to continue for a while, unfortunately.
Yeah. And the PSYOP continues here. We put this under politics because it's all political.
Cue the miserable, cue the desperate. What must I do to convince you people?
There he is.
This is I don't know what this SwissPolicyResearch.org.
Yeah. And
the headline is QAnon may have been an FBI PSYOP.
Ooh, no kidding.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, it's kind of, it's not too long, so I'll read it. It says here, the QAnon phenomenon has generally been regarded as a hoax or a prank originated by online message originated by online message board users in late October 2017 that got out of control. The QAnon persona was preceded by similar personae, including FBI Anon, CIA Anon, and White House Insider Anon. Have you heard of any of those, by the way?
No, I have not heard of any of those.
I mean, it would have been that's a way we could have gotten, we've been on the map, we're CIA Anon.
I followed that link there, and it takes us to an NBCnews.com article that looks like it wants to break down those three you just mentioned. How 3 conspiracy theorists took Q and sparked QAnon. I don't know. That's for another show.
QAnon originally called himself Q Clearance Patriot. Former CIA counterintelligence operative Kevin M. Shipp, who's been very anti-Q, and he kind of flipped too. It's been kind of interesting to watch because he is former CIA. We've mentioned him on the show before. Explained that an actual Q clearance leaker, i.e. someone possessing the highest security clearance at the U.S. Department of Energy, required to access top security nuclear weapons information, would have been identified and removed within days. Unless it was part of the operation, Kevin M. Shipp. However, in November 2020, Reuters reported that the very first social media account to promote the QAnon persona were allegedly linked to Russia and even backed by Russian government.
Okay.
For instance, the very first Twitter account to ever use the term QAnon on social media had previously, quote, retweeted obscure Russian officials, according to
So that
Reuters.
means they must be Russian. Great reporting, Reuters.
The alleged Russian social media accounts posing as accounts of American patriots were in contact with politically conservative U.S. YouTubers and drew their attention to the QAnon persona. This is how, in early November 2017, the QAnon movement took off. But given the recent revelations by British investigator David J. Blake, who for the first time was able to conclusively show at the technical level that the Russian hacking operation was a cyber psyop run by the FBI and FBI cybersecurity contractor CrowdStrike, the Reuters report may in fact indicate that QAnon was neither a hoax nor Russian, but another FBI psychological cyber operation.
No kidding.
Of note, U.S. cyber intelligence firm New Knowledge, founded by former NSA and DARPA employees and tasked by the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee in 2018 with investigating alleged, quote, Russian social media operations relating to the 2016 U.S. presidential elections, was itself caught faking a Russian social media botnet in order to influence the 2017 Alabama Senate race. In the QAnon persona, similar to the Guccifer 2.0, Russian hacker persona played by an FBI cybersecurity contractor was indeed an FBI psychological operation. Its goal may have been to take control of, discredit, and ultimately derail the supporter base of U.S. President Trump. In this case, the QAnon movement may have been a modern version of the original FBI Cointelpro program.
When was this written? This month? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad people are starting to catch up.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been kind of the fact that it was FBI, the specifics, maybe not, but by the time, because, the first, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then by the time it was like about a month in, 2017, I'm talking like November, December 2017, I was like, yeah, no, this is totally disinformation. Like you can tell just by the way that they post things and what they're saying, and the claims got more and more extravagant, and it was like,
and the way that the ideology of Q split up to fit into different belief systems.
Right.
You had the Christian Q, you had the New Age Q, you had the lefty Q, you had the right Q. They just kind of made little tiny shifts to wherever they needed to take hold on the internet, and it was very effective. That's the interesting thing about Q, and if indeed it was a FBI psyop or a psyop by whomever, is very interesting for research purposes, just to see how well and how long it would take to go from, intermittent cryptic posts on 4chan to storming the Capitol.
right. Yeah. Well, that and
or at least perceived storming the Capitol.
I'm part of the reason why I wanted to bring this up as well is because I think the operation has moved on to different sources or different personas out there to distribute the disinfo. And part of how this works is not that these guys just tell outright lies, but they tell part truths, because you need to gain the credibility of the public, the vulnerable public. And so if there are people that, for example, say that, oh, there's going to be blackouts in UK, which, by the way, I think there was some blackouts. Haven't confirmed yet, but
yeah, we need to get the actual data on these blackouts though, because
that's what I'm saying.
There's blackouts everywhere all the time.
That's what I'm saying.
Power just goes out. We need to know.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So, by having something like it take place after a prediction or my source told me, they gain credibility for the vulnerable, and then everything that they say after that is believed, when in reality it's almost like, luring them in. It's exactly like a mouse trap or any kind of trap. It's like, oh, there's food there. oh, it's tasty looking, it smells wonderful, but it's that 1% of poison that's going to get you, So it's
Right.
just got to be diligent and vigilant and, not get sucked in too much to this type of thing. And I get it. If there is a silver lining, it's that a lot of people started realizing that there's a lot of nefarious things that happen at the highest places of our government and our leadership and all that, which, again, people have been exposing that for decades. It doesn't take Q to figure that stuff out. There's books that have been written, movies that have been made. I mean, there's all kinds of information out there, which I think a lot of researchers in the realm of truth were really kind of annoyed by Q because all these people were like, oh, Q woke me up and all this stuff. And there's people that have spent their lifetimes writing books, and they're like, oh yeah, I just wasted 3 decades of my life to write this book, exposing things, and then, Q gets the credit,
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Just keep in mind that stuff like this has been out there in terms of the information of the reality of the situation, but the implications is where I think they can mislead the public at large. So,
Yeah. There you go.
Yep.
And it's been interesting to watch the live audience, over the past couple months, the shift from whenever we said anything negative about Q, we had quite a few people fighting us pretty hard in the chat, and not so much anymore. So,
yeah.
All right, here's a little politics update coming from TechCrunch.com. Facial recognition reveals political party in troubling new research. What? Researchers have created a machine learning system that they claim can determine a person's political party.
Yikes.
With reasonable accuracy based only on their face. The implications of this are just out of this world.
How does that even work?
Well, let's keep going. The study from a group that also showed that sexual preference, I was going to refer to this one, but they mention it here. The study from a group that also showed that sexual preference can seemingly be inferred this way, candidly addresses and carefully avoids the pitfalls of modern phrenology. I believe phrenology was what was it? It was like you could read everything about somebody based on the divots in their skull or something weird. Like you would, anyways, leading to the uncomfortable conclusion that our appearance may express more personal information than we think. The study, which appeared this week in the Nature Journal Scientific Reports, was conducted by Stanford University's Michael Kaczynski. Kaczynski made headlines in 2017 with work that found a person's sexual preference could be predicted from facial data. The study drew criticism not so much for its method, but for the very idea that something that's notionally non-physical could be detected this way. But Kaczynski's work, as he explained then and afterwards, was done specifically to challenge those assumptions and was as surprising and disturbing to him as it was to others. The idea was not to build a kind of AI gaydar, quite the opposite. In fact, as the team wrote at the time, it was necessary to publish in order to warn others that such a thing may be built by people whose interests went beyond the academic. Then they have a quote there, but we'll keep moving. Similar warnings may be sounded here for a while politicians. Well, hold on. For while political affiliation, at least in the U.S. and at least at the present, is not as sensitive or personal an element as sexual preference, it is still sensitive and personal.
I don't know if that's true.
Was this written by an AI? That was
Maybe.
a complicated sentence.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is true because, as we've seen, people are, with some people, if you're in a certain crowd of people, you may not want to draw attention to certain political beliefs, and that goes for both sides. A week hardly passes without reading of some political or religious dissident or another being arrested or killed. I don't know about that. Hardly a week passes without reading of some political or religious dissident or another being arrested or killed, maybe around the world. If oppressive regimes could obtain what passes for probable cause by saying the algorithm flagged you as a possible extremist instead of, for example, intercepting messages, it makes this sort of practice that much easier and more scalable. The algorithm itself is not some type of hyper-advanced technology. Kaczynski's paper describes a fairly ordinary process of feeding a machine learning system images of more than 1 million faces collected from dating sites in the US, Canada, and the UK, as well as American Facebook users. There you go, American Facebook users. Thanks for your contribution to this algorithm that can tell what political party you're in. The people whose faces were used identified as politically conservative or liberal as part of the site's questionnaire. The algorithm was based on open source fake blah, blah, blah. They talk about facial recognition software. Okay, they get into some technical stuff. Did you have anything highlighted you wanted to jump to in this one?
Of course, it's not as simple as, quote, conservatives have bushier eyebrows or liberals frown more, nor does it come down to demographics, which would make things too easy and simple. After all, if political party identification correlates with both age and skin color, that makes for a simple prediction algorithm right there. But although the software mechanism used by Kaczynski are quite standard, he was careful to cover his bases in order that this study, like the last one, can't be dismissed as pseudoscience. The test involved being presented with two faces, yada yada yada. Yeah, so okay, they try to be a little more nuanced than your general appearance, but I don't know. This type of thing is extremely dangerous, regardless.
Well, right. You think about even just airports. Heathrow Airport is, at least last I looked at the data, was like the most facially recognized, equipped place on the planet. You're walking through Heathrow. I forget what the number was, but your facial recognition gets read like 100 times or something walking to the bathroom to your gate or something crazy. And considering the no-fly lists and the Trump supporters and stuff being banned from airlines, getting kicked off planes, that would be an interesting immediate use case for this, where you're just walking through the airport and you get corralled into a little side room and they're like, well, our facial recognition technology has recognized that you have conservative political views. Can we ask you a few questions? The article continues later on. If you're wondering which facial features in particular are revealing, unfortunately, the system is unable to report that. And this it's funny. They're saying it without saying it, that the black box aspect of these artificial intelligence programs.
Right.
When they say, unfortunately, the system is unable to report that, they literally mean they have no idea. Because a lot of times with these machine learning programs and artificial intelligence, the robot is doing things that it cannot explain to human beings. Moving on, in a short Paris study, Kaczynski isolated a couple dozen facial features, facial hair, directness of gaze, various emotions, and tested whether those were good predictors of politics, but none led to more than a small increase in accuracy over chance or human expertise. Quote, head orientation and emotional expression stood out. Liberals tended to face the camera more directly, were more likely to express surprise and less likely to express disgust, Kaczynski wrote in author's notes for the paper. But what they added left more than 10 percentage points of accuracy not accounted for. Quote, that indicates that facial recognition algorithm found many other features revealing political orientation. This is interesting. I kind of want to know what my face would read as.
Yeah, especially since neither one of us have like a hard. Well, I mean, yeah, we at least me, I tend to lean on one side, but I'm not registered with either party,
Yeah,
so
right.
It'd be interesting to say, are we going to break the algo, explode the machine?
Maybe you are the unrecognizables.
You do not exist.
That'll be our political party.
Yeah, which by the way, I think I read somewhere, and I don't know how accurate this is, but they're saying that they're going to have a new political party by 2030 in the United States that's going to, really decimate the Republican and Democrat divide. They've been saying that for a while, but with all the turmoil.
Where did you hear this?
I
This
don't
sounds
remember.
interesting.
I need to find the source of it. I didn't have time today to dig it up, but something maybe we'll talk about in the next episode.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we have this Dominion thing. I'm not too stoked about the source, but you wanted to read it, so AmericanThinker.com.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wanted to mention this because we've read from American Thinker sometimes before, at least once or twice before, because they have some interesting things. They're obviously very far right as far as if the facial recognition was looking at AmericanThinker.com, that's where they would land. But this is interesting because we mentioned the lawsuit against Sidney Powell. And others coming from Dominion. And, I did not think that American Thinker was big enough that they would be targeted for this, but this is on American Thinker. Let's see here. Yes, this came out today. We received a lengthy letter from Dominion's defamation lawyers explaining why they believe that their client has been the victim of defamatory statements. Having considered the full import of the letter, we have agreed to their request. They have agreed to their request that we publish the following statement. American Thinker and contributors Andrea Widberg, R.D. Wedge, Brian Tomlinson, and Peggy Ryan have published pieces on AmericanThinker.com that falsely accuse U.S. Dominion Inc., Dominion Voting Systems, Inc., and Dominion Voting Systems Corporation, collectively Dominion, of conspiring to steal the November 2020 election from Donald Trump. These pieces rely on discredited sources who have peddled debunked theories about Dominion's supposed ties to Venezuela, fraud on Dominion's machines that resulted in massive vote switching or weighted votes, and other claims falsely stating that there is credible evidence that Dominion acted fraudulently. These statements are completely false and have no basis in fact. Industry experts and public officials alike have confirmed that Dominion conducted itself appropriately and that there is simply no evidence to support these claims. It was wrong for us to publish these false statements. We apologize to Dominion for all of the harm this caused them and their employees. I'm curious what the harm to Dominion and the employees was. I haven't seen anything about that. We also apologize to our readers for abandoning 9 journalistic principles and misrepresenting Dominion's track record and its limited role in tabulating votes for the November 2020 election. We regret this grave error. And there's an image of Uncle Sam sitting in the thinker's position there at the bottom. Dominion, after all the dust has settled, is going after, it's one thing to go after Sidney Powell, the sort of, by this time, nationally renowned lawyer fighting on behalf of the Trump campaign, whether or not she is officially on the team. But American Thinker, I'm sure they have a lot, they have a lot of readers, but they're not. This is not CNN level. This is not mainstream level readership. I just thought it was interesting that, basically a blog would need to apologize so much.
Yeah, I noticed that the American Thinker, the guys that work here, or the people, Peggy and Thomas, I think, they do a little, it's like a video audio type of deal. And that one was shared a lot on my feed like 2 or 3 years ago after Trump took office. And it was interesting to listen to because they weren't exactly peddling the QAnon stuff, but it was very close to that type of information. So it might have been a similar source. And then somebody, if I'm not mistaken, and we may have mentioned it on the show, but somebody mentioned that Thomas had some connection to the Jesuits or something. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything other than that's what I remember, and I'm probably remembering it wrong. But
right.
So there's some people that were trying to discredit them anyway in the truth world or whatever. But this is this is kind of like the lawfare type of thing we've been hearing about, that they're going to have lawyers come after certain outlets and try to silence people, and because the court cases and all that stuff didn't go down, they can do this. They can do this legally. But again, anybody who's really just looked at the evidence and coming at it from a very objective point of view, there were definitely some stuff going on with Dominion that's shady. And you mentioned how, you didn't hear anything about the people.
From the info that was being relayed.
From the info that was being relayed, but a lot of that, not a lot, some of that you were able to just look at it objectively and say, like, something's not right. You don't have to say that there was fraud for sure, but there's definitely stuff that was connected to the internet, the machines connected to the internet, stuff like that, the flash drives. There were things there that was kind of like, even if you're like a liberal Democrat, you should be like, yeah, what's going on with that? But you mentioned we apologize, causing harm to the employees and stuff. I think there were some stories about people getting harassed, but also, if I'm not mistaken, and this might have been disinformation, I don't know. I this is just stuff I heard and I remember reporting on a little bit on Canary Cry News Talk, but it was about how the Dominion offices shut down in the United States. Like, as soon as things got heated and people were talking about Dominion, I think they had an office in Colorado or something that they shut down. And then the one that was in the George Soros building shut down in Canada as well. So, I mean, I don't know if that was due to harassment,
probably threats or something.
Could be, or trying to run. I mean, either way you look at it, very shady. But I don't know. You were worried that we were going to get this letter, and I don't think we will, because we didn't sit there. And number one, I don't think we're big enough to really attract the attention. I wasn't
necessarily worried. I was just trying to remember exactly what we actually reported on Dominion. Because, oh man, doing 3 shows a week, it's hard to remember.
I know, but I think we'll be okay, at least for now. But yeah, very interesting. We'll see what happens. I mean, they published this.
Well, the legal threats coming into American Thinker were enough where they decided it was just worth putting out an apology.
Well, because they're not able to probably financially fight it, and that's kind of the thing that's happening too. If you really look at if you step back and look at the bigger picture of what's taking place here, the little guys are getting demolished by the establishment. Whether you believe it's the right, left, it doesn't matter. The big corporate establishment is taking over, and they're stepping on the little guys everywhere, whether it be a small business or outlets like these that try to bring news. So anyway, very interesting. Anything else on that?
Very interesting. Yeah, I was trying to decide if I wanted to apologize to Dominion for your false statements and debunked claims about Dominion.
I have some thoughts on Dominion. This might actually get us a letter.
Sorry, Dominion.
Should I play the clip?
No.
Oh. I'm gonna do it.
What clip?
My opinion on Dominion.
They are scum.
Okay. Yeah, you can send all those letters, Dominion lawyers. You can send that over to facelikethesun at facelikethesun.com.
They are scum.
Okay.
Okay.
We interrupt this broadcast to give you a brief update. By the end of this timely interruption, you will be thoroughly updated.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
33 is the Illuminati dog whistle. We keep track of the number because it shows up in all kinds of headlines and everything else. This one, I asked you if you thought it was appropriate or not, but I'm just going to read the headline here. WVLT.TV, 33 pounds of Viagra seized by customs in Cincinnati.
Ooh.
So 33 pounds of the Osiris pill taken out.
I don't remember you asking me that, but
you don't pay
that's
attention
funny. What signal are they sending?
It's the Osiris pill, man.
Yeah.
10,000 Osiris pills.
Does that mean that the Washington Monument's going to stay closed?
It's going to fall over. It's going to fall over. Customs agents in Cincinnati said they seized more than 10,000 pills of Viagra, which they believe came from the Middle East with potential ties to Hong Kong and China. Ugh. So
What? I'm confused. Were these illegally smuggled Viagra pills?
Do you want me to?
Why are they being seized?
According to the Cincinnati Customs and Border Protections, officers seized 33.5 pounds of Viagra in 2 shipments. The agent said, if genuine, the pills would have an estimated manufacturer's retail price of $238,000. Ooh.
Wow, that's expensive.
Let's see. The bottle label stated they were made in the U.S., but officials said the claims are suspect as they were imported from the Middle East. And I guess they're just trying to trace it, and it didn't come from I don't know, some supply chain stuff that didn't match up or something. I don't know. That's interesting.
Hey, Guns.
Yeah.
Talk about getting blue pilled.
Oh my
God. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, all right. Okay. There's more of where that came from. This story is somebody shared it with us. Thank you for the person who shared it. And the message said, "You guys made it," which I didn't quite fully grasp. Maybe it's because a bird is getting illegaled. APnews.com, fake U.S. leg band gets pigeon reprieve in Australia.
This was the weirdest story, and it was top trending on Twitter.
Yeah, a pigeon that Australia declared a biosecurity risk has received a reprieve after U.S. bird organization declared its identifying leg band was fake. The band suggested the bird found in Melbourne, in a Melbourne backyard on December 26th, was a racing pigeon that left the U.S. state of Oregon 13,000 kilometers, it's about 8,000 miles away, 2 months earlier. On that basis, Australian authorities on Thursday said they considered the bird a disease risk and planned to kill it. They don't say rona, but it's probably rona. On the basis, Australian authorities on Thursday said they considered the bird a disease risk, plan to kill it, but Dion Roberts, sport development manager for the Oklahoma-based American Racing Pigeon Union, I didn't even know such thing existed, said on Friday the band was fake. The band number belongs to a blue bar pigeon in the United States, which is not the bird pictured in Australia, she said. Quote, the bird banned in Australia is counterfeit and not traceable, Roberts said. They do not need to kill him. Australia's Agriculture Department, which is responsible for biosecurity, agreed that the pigeon dubbed Joe, after U.S. President Joe Biden, because it had very hairy legs, was wearing a fraudulent copy leg band. Oh.
Why? Who is putting a fraudulent leg band on this pigeon?
I don't know. Probably Joe Biden.
This asks more questions than it answers.
This is the strangest story. Quote, following an investigation, they're investigating this. This is where all of our tax dollars and resources are
good.
going.
See, this is what happens when we this is what I was saying when it was a slow news couple days since Wednesday. The top trending Twitter thing went from Trump incites coup at the Capitol to pigeon with wrong leg band found in Australia.
The department has concluded that Joe the pigeon is highly likely to be Australian and does not present a biosecurity risk. The department said it will take no further action. So,
yeah, maybe this is coding. Maybe because you know what we never did. I never did watch was the movie Songbird. I meant to watch that and talk about it on the show. But I know part of that film was, you got a little yellow bracelet to say if you were immune to COVID-23 or whatever, not let you go anywhere. And we've talked about, people counterfeiting quarantine documents or vaccine documents. Maybe this is a signal. It's an American bird in Australia with a faked quarantine bracelet.
But it was actually an Australian bird pretending to be an American bird. Maybe he just wanted some cred, like Joe,
The plot
just wanted
thickens.
fake cred. Although if birds aren't real, then maybe the I don't know, I was going to use the expression cat became too close to coming out of the bag or something. I don't know. People were starting to figure out birds aren't real, so they're like, oh, let's just call it a fake American.
What are they hiding?
I don't know.
What are these birds hiding?
I don't know.
All right. Well, our thoughts and prayers go out to Joe the pigeon.
I think
Live
he's
your
safe.
life, Joe.
I think he's safe.
CRISPR. Cas9.
Laboratory-equipment.com.
Oh,
I know. Detecting.
How straightforward.
I know. Detecting CRISPR-Cas9 gene doping in athletes. In the past 10 years.
Gene doping. Oh, yeah.
The past 10 years have illustrated the potential of the CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing system, but also the challenges that accompany such a powerful technique. When discussing the use of CRISPR-Cas9 in humans, quote, designer babies is often the first negative brought up, and rightfully so. Germline editing of human DNA using CRISPR-Cas9 could allow persons to manipulate babies by changing their eye color or hair color, for example. That example being the most tame of examples of genetic tampering. Now, German researchers have extrapolated the situation further. What if athletes are tempted to use CRISPR to change their DNA for the better? Quote, the possibility of misuse in sports cannot be ignored, Mario Thevis, a professor for preventative doping research at the German Sport University Cologne, told Laboratory Equipment, quote, such monitoring necessitates adequate testing approaches, and while assays for detecting gene therapy strategies rely on gene transfer and RNA interference have been under development and available for some years, focusing on CRISPR-Cas9 in the context of anti-doping was still to be addressed. And this guy took the first steps to creating a test to detect the Cas9 itself in people to make sure that they're not CRISPR-Cas9 enhanced.
Yeah, interesting. Well, this is a very forward-thinking guy. We've talked about, actually, I think it was just last episode, we talked about, the GMO super troopers that many countries are developing for super soldiers. And It's just a matter of time before athletes start breaking into that as well. This guy might, maybe he listens to the show.
Maybe. There's another story that will connect to this later on after the break. That has to do with the coronavirus being something that demands genetic surveillance. And I feel like this is part of that whole discussion. We need genetic surveillance because we can't have people, CRISPR-Cas9ing themselves without the government support.
Yeah, of course. Well, and it's interesting, too, because genetic surveillance would be the way to tell if you've had the mRNA vaccine.
Right. Exactly. So we'll get into that story later on there. But we got another update here from Epstein Island.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
This is news.bloomberglaw.com. Wexner, L Brands board sued for Epstein ties, harassment culture. Leslie H. Wexner and other longtime senior leaders at L Brand Inc. were hit with a shareholder lawsuit in Delaware over the Victoria's Secret parents' quote, entrenched culture of misogyny, bullying, and harassment, as well as ties to Jeffrey Epstein and other egregious mismanagement. The board, quote, did nothing to address decades of sexual harassment by top L Brands executives, while the underqualified Epstein inexplicably managed Wexner's fortune, and while the billionaire sex offender apparently used Wexner's home for liaisons with victims, the suit said. Epstein's victim, Virginia Guffrey, has also, quote, claimed that he directed her to have sex with Mr. Wexner, and other victims have accused Wexner's wife, Abigail, quote, of acquiescence while Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell sexually assaulted her. So, there have been people that have brought up the Wexner connection for a long time. I know someone whose wife was looking into the Victoria's Secret connection to Epstein's connection to transhumanism like years ago. And so there's been some paper trails there in terms of, what they're up to. But they're slammed for it. Who knows if it's going to go any further than that? These companies have a lot of money. What do you think? Do you think this is...
Wexner, was this the Canadian fashion brand?
I don't know if it was Canadian, but it was the parent company for Victoria's Secret. So
this must have been it. Yeah, the guy, I thought they got him in Canada or something, but Yeah, we reported on him getting busted maybe about a month ago.
Yeah. All right. Well, fine then.
No, we got him again.
You got him again. More happening, but not out.
You don't know what you're looking at.
What's driving that thing? It's not a space alien.
Alien. It's unidentified.
So we reported on the Black Vault, CIA releasing all kinds of UFO documents. I got this message to me, which had a screenshot from the Black Vault, the story itself. And I summarized it in a tweet here. Saucer-shaped UFO gets shot down. 5 large-headed entities, kind of described as grays, emerge, and they merge into a ball of light. The ball of light expands into a brilliant white light where 23 people viewing the phenomenon are turned into stone poles. 2 people hiding behind trees survive. And, I mean, we don't have to read the whole document here, but...
yeah, I was kind of reading through it. It sounds like this was material gathered from newspapers.
I'm not sure, but I know it was in the Black Vault declassified information. So, I don't know that it was all public. I think some of it was, but yeah, very interesting. And it sort of plays into the idea of the Sodom and Gomorrah situation, where people are turned into pillar of salt, and so maybe that technology exists in one form or another, and when it's used by bad demonic aliens, then you result in this type of situation here. But I don't know, I just thought it was interesting to share. There have been other people sharing, things that they found in the Black Vault in the recent release. But also I've seen people say, "Oh, if it's CIA, then it's all fake." So, take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, well, that's been part of our idea about this. This is not the declassification that was ordered in the last COVID bill. This was the result of FOIA requests by John Greenwald. So it'll be interesting if once the declassification to Congress from the CIA happens, and Lord willing, that gets leaked, to compare it to this FOIA request would be very interesting. Yeah. See what did and didn't get shared through the different ways of sharing.
Intelligence agencies and news outlets and stuff. Yep. So there you go. Let's move into one of our main stories here.
We're taking things that are genetically modified organisms and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein, right into the vein, right into the vein, right into the vein.
Okay, to start off with our Bill Gates tribute. What was that one?
I'm hungry.
Okay, food update. This is coming from news18.com. Microsoft founder Bill Gates revealed as the biggest farmland owner in the United States. Oh, perfect. Just perfect. The co-founder and former CEO of Microsoft, Bill Gates, has built up a massive farmland portfolio spanning 18 states, enough to claim the title of biggest farmland owner in the United States. According to the Land Report, Gates, currently the 4th largest person in the world, has quietly amassed 242,000 in farmland acreage. Gates and his wife Melinda own a total of 268,984 acres of land, most of which includes the farmland, along with 25,750 acres of transitional land and 1,234 acres of recreational land. That's too much land for one man. Research showed that Gates, who has a net worth of nearly $121 billion, according to Forbes, owns the largest holdings in Louisiana, 69,071 acres, Arkansas, and Nebraska. Wow. Largest holdings in Louisiana, Arkansas, and Nebraska. Additionally, he has a stake in 25,750 acres of transitional land on the west side of Phoenix, Arizona, which is being developed as a new suburb. The land is held directly and through third-party entities by Cascade Investments, Gates's personal investment vehicle. Cascade's other investments include food safety company Ecolab, used car retailer Vroom, weird, and Canadian National Railway. Whoa. While it may be surprising that a tech billionaire is the largest farmland owner in the U.S., this is not Gates's only foray into agriculture. In 2008, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation announced $306 million in grants to promote high-yield sustainable agriculture among smallholder farmers in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. With 242,000 acres of farmland, the Gates family is now ahead of the rest of the top farmland owners in the country. The next largest farmland owner are the Offutt family with 190,000 acres and Stuart and Linda Resnick with 190,000 acres. The Offutt family operates a potato farm based in Fargo, North Dakota, as well as owning RDO equipment, according to agriculture.com. Stuart and Linda, okay, well, we don't care about them. So there you go. Bill Gates, after establishing the panopticon with, bringing personal computers and computing into the position of power that they are now in, is looking to settle down and start farming the entire United States.
And based on all of his vaccine stuff and genetics and the things he seems to be into, this is not good news for...
this is a
food
crazy
in general.
Power play. Yeah.
Oh, it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And this is a very concerning with where food manufacturing is going. Is there any way to break it? How is this not like a monopoly? How is he not a monopoly? Can't we break him up?
Yeah.
Break him up into pieces.
Well, Microsoft certainly has had to defend itself against antitrust laws for decades now.
But he's not Microsoft anymore. He stepped down.
No, he's not. Now he's Farmer Bill.
Farmer Bill.
Yeah, no, this is definitely worrisome. I mean, of course, there's a lot of things to worry about when anybody amasses that type of power. And considering the way that, he's been handling all sorts of his money-based power. Again, remember, he's not an elected official. He's not a doctor. He's just a rich guy. For him to be owning the most farmland in America is pretty concerning, especially when it comes to, his propensity to bend the laws of nature in order to, quote, in his words, would be to, for the betterment of humanity. But lots of people are pretty skeptical of the way he's going about that.
Well, and also you got to mention the theme earlier, right? Of people, the very few, the elite, taking over things of the common folk. There's just another example where you have just a small group of people overtaking everything. And it's not everything, obviously, but that's a lot of land. That's a lot of farmland. And he's going to implement some weird, genetic stuff or GMOs type of food, or because he's complicit with
they make the connection right in the article, talking about the $306 million in grants to promote high-yield sustainable agriculture among, now this was smallholder farmers in sub-Saharan Africa. But as we know with Bill, that's kind of his playbook. He spends a bunch of money and experiments in Africa before bringing it back home.
Well, that was the other question I had: is does he actually? How much land does he own in Africa? Like, in it, maybe not directly.
I don't think he owns any. Well, it doesn't state he owns any. This was specifically. This was all American holdings that was mentioned in this article.
And I think this is also a precursor to some of the things that we've seen in the past with Bill Gates. This was a story from 2020, USA Today. Bill Gates, Tyson Foods not instigating collapse of meat supply.
Oh, don't worry.
They're trying to debunk the idea. But it does say here that Bill Gates and Tyson Food have supported research in startups focusing on lab-grown meat. They're trying to undercut the nation's supply of meat amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
We have not heard a lot about the lab-grown meat recently, have we?
Recently, but as USA Today states, exposing themselves or exposing Bill Gates in an attempt to debunk the crazy conspiracy theories is that he's a prominent supporter of lab-grown and alternative meat initiatives. And so it's alarming to have a guy that owns that much land farmland in the United States that's like super into lab grown meat. It's just kind of not. The two things don't make sense.
We'll make some lab meat factories on all this land instead of raising real cows.
Yeah, or just genetically modifying it. So this is CNBC.com from March 2019. How Impossible Burger's Simple Vision won hundreds of millions in funding and backing from Bill Gates. So there you go, another example. And let's see what Pat Brown was working in his research lab in 2009. He had zero intention of starting a business, much less one that would win United Nations backing and investment from the likes of Microsoft founder Bill Gates. So, you got UN and Bill Gates having the same sustainable development goals.
Right.
That we've talked about over and over and over again for years. And so I don't know. This is just I don't like it. I don't like it.
It's concerning on its face.
Can we just label pass laws to label kind of like the GMO label laws?
Has to be labeled if it's a Bill Gates carrot.
Any kind of Bill Gates product or food. We just
that's funny, and I mean, in all seriousness, that should be a thing, because even just for consumer rights to know who they're giving their money to, if they don't want to give their money to Bill Gates and buy somebody else's potatoes, they should be able to do that. It doesn't even have to be under some like super intense, genetically modified blah, blah, blah. It just needs to have a little Bill Gates face down at the bottom so people can choose if they want to give their money to Bill Gates.
Yeah, that's your ideal capitalism showing through there. I don't think it's going to happen.
It seems like it should be easier than trying, because they're trying to label all these things very intense, and then it gets into a debate. Is GMO actually healthy or unhealthy? Should we label? What about organic? Should it be organic labeled? Should it not? Because the health of our children. No. This is capitalism. Make it easy. Do I want to give my money to this guy or not? That's all I want to know.
Right. Well, Bill Gates is not only taking over land, but he also wants to take over the air.
Oh, no.
This is theguardian.com. Bill Gates joins Blackstone in bid to buy British private jet services firm. Gates' Cascade Investment Fund teams up with U.S. private equity firm on offer for Signature Aviation. Bill Gates has joined a £3 billion bidding war to buy the world's largest private jet services company, just as he prepares to publish his new book, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster.
Oh, great. That is hilarious.
You just buy everything and inject it with GMOs.
No, but this is hilarious. He's buying the largest private jet services company while pushing climate change problems.
I know.
This is like, when Leonardo DiCaprio took a private jet across the Atlantic to go speak at the climate accords or whatever.
Right.
And I forget the numbers, but it's something like flying a jet. And he was like the only person on it. It's one thing to take economy and fly a jet with, 500 other people. But to be the only guy in a jet to go speak about climate change is hilarious. Maybe he'll use this, I would say if we had him here on the line, he would probably be like, well, I wanted to buy this big jet company
to clean it up.
Right. So I can experiment with this new jet fuel that's made out of farmland.
Just farmland. It's powered by farmland.
He just wants to buy all this farmland, melt it down, not farm on it, just turn it into jet fuel to fix climate change. What's the problem?
It says here, according to a study by academics at Lund University, Gates is one of the world's biggest, quote, super emitters due to his regular private jet travel. He took 59 flights in 1 year, traveling more than 200,000 miles, according to the report, which estimated that Gates's private jet travel emitted about 1,600 tons of carbon dioxide. That compares with a global average of less than 5 tons per person. Researchers have found that private jets emit up to 40 times as much carbon dioxide per passenger than commercial jets. Gates, who says in the foreword to his forthcoming book that he has spent a decade investigating the causes and effects of climate change, did not respond to requests for comment about his views on the carbon footprint of private jets. The billionaire has previously said that owning private planes was his guilty pleasure. In a Reddit Ask Me Anything in 2014, Gates said, owning a plane is a guilty pleasure. Warren Buffett called his the indefensible. I do get to a lot of places for foundation work. I wouldn't be able to go to it without it.
I wouldn't be able to get there without a private plane.
Jeez.
That's funny. Maybe
Get out of here.
Maybe he's gonna turn them all into chemtrail mobiles.
They are scum.
This article was amended on January or blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So anyway, Bill Gates, he's all twisted up, man. He's a tortured man. If he's a man at all. I know, Build Back Better. This is like the definition of
demonic power.
Yeah.
Bill Gates.
Got him.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, should we take a quick little break?
Quick break.
It's break time.
Okie dokie, folks. We're just going to take a quick little break, but don't go anywhere because after the break, we've got some Waccine pandemic special news we got to get to. A few little updates there you may have missed in all of the political upheaval. And then, of course, some beast system and China updates as well. So stick around. But before we get to that, we are going to take a quick break and thank some of our producers. That's right. I said producers because we are on the value for value model. If you haven't heard of it, actually, the value for value model is starting to spread even further. We switched over to the value for value model after being convinced by Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak over at the No Agenda show there. And as they played on their show, it sounds like some big tech people are starting to kind of observe the value for value model. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we hopped on board early. And why? Because we don't want to take any money from corporations. As you may have noticed lately, advertising for podcasts and live broadcasts like ours is they've become easier and easier to get. We've certainly had our fair share of offers, but the very act of taking money from a corporation to do our show is just nonsense. It's nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense. We would have to be turning our back on principles that we are very serious about. And honestly, once you start taking money from corporations for advertising, then you got to watch what you say. You can't talk about certain things. You certainly couldn't say anything about Bill Gates, and you become, you're then under threat to follow orders, or else your money gets taken away. So instead of that, we decided that we would break away from the global theology of advertisements, and we invite you guys to do that as well. There's always somebody in the chat who just begs us to start doing advertisements because they just hate it when we take some time and thank our producers. Instead, they would like to get brainwashed by a corporation, which doesn't make any sense to me. But we are on this path, and we invite you to do so as well because we are moving into an era, folks, where if you're trying to get your news or your entertainment or whatever from a company that is using advertising, first of all, you're just not taking responsibility for the quality of your own broadcast enjoyment or your news or whatever you want to call it, but you are willingly handing over your attention and therefore your worldview building responsibility over to a corporation who wants to put the value on your feed instead of you putting the value on it. So we invite our listeners to not just be passive listeners, but to become producers. And that's a real deal. That's not a cutesy term. If you pay to keep a piece of media going, you are a producer of that piece of media. And so we would like to thank some of our producers. And that's another thing I love about the value for value system and the way that we do it is it's transparent. You know, you get to hear the names of the people responsible for keeping your show going. That doesn't happen very often in this world. So first of all, I'd like to thank an upgrading producer over on the patreon.com/CCNT. Again, that's patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. And we have this is a new producer. New producer T3T Innovations. Thank you very much, producer T3T Innovations.
Thank you, producer T3T.
Yeah,
T3T. That's hard to say. T3T. Yeah.
T3T. Yeah, I wonder what they do. I've got to look into that. So thank you very much. Next, we have patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio. And if you haven't done it yet, you should check out Canary Cry Radio. That's our interview style show we've been doing since 2012. We've got 4 episodes that we've done live and are waiting to put out on the podcast feed, but you can find them over on the YouTube channel. And it's just a good way to lay a good foundation for your Canary Cry material. And we had an upgrading producer named Producer Baya.
Producer Baya.
Thank you very much, Producer Baya. And thank you for your upgrade, your increased faith in what we do. Okay, and that's the Patreon. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people don't like Patreon. That's okay. We understand. That's why we have canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support is a great place to learn more about the value for value model. And you can also become a producer there. There is, you can become a monthly producership if you want to commit to helping laying down a firm foundation for the show. Or if commitment is not your thing, you can go ahead and make a one-time producership in any amount. There's also cryptocurrency and all sorts of fun stuff. Make sure to check out canarycryradio.com/support. Gons, who do we have coming in over there?
Over there on canarycryradio.com/support, we have, first off, we have Saul. Thank you, Saul.
Thank you very much, Producer Saul.
Very consistent and just little amounts over and over.
Yeah, this is good. It's very, yeah.
We also have producer Vladimir.
Oh, Vladimir, our Russian KGB handler.
And we have permission to do Russian voices, so in case you're wondering.
It was actually requested.
It's
demanded, rather, by our KGB handler.
We also have Spears Desert.
Yes, and producer Spears Desert came in with the 33.33 donation. Ooh. So wake up, sheeple.
Wake up to the Illuminati's, what is it? What do we call it? Dog whistle.
Yes.
And finally, we have a producer, Madeline K.
Thank you very much, Madeline K.
She came in with $202.10. It was supposed to be 2021.
Oh,
she
wow.
moved the decimal point. So that's very generous of you.
Thank you so much, Madeline.
And she gave us a note. She says, I'm a bit late with my 202.1 producership, but I just wanted to drop you to a line and tell you what a bright spot your 6+ hours per week of content has been over the past year. Not only do I have you to thank in part for my very gradual, gentle awakening throughout 2016, but I also must thank you for your many years of faithfulness in sharing your well-researched aggregation of crazy world news. The thoughtfulness with which you approach each topic and the perspective that you offer listeners is so valuable. In my hectic life, I feel like your shows are a dose of comfort and sanity. Ooh, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing the news and offering commentary with a kingdom of heaven mindset rather than one focused on earthly comfort or success. Last but not least, thank you for not just screaming into the void about the end of the world. Laughing into the void is much better. Each of you has a unique sense of humor, and the banter is actually one of my favorite things about CCNT in particular. Watching the apocalypse unfold with you has been much more fun than I ever anticipated. Keep up the great work, gentlemen. Here's to another year. Your loyal listener, Madeline. So thank you, Producer Madeline.
Thank you very much, Producer Madeline.
Very encouraging note. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah, that was encouraging. That's wonderful to hear.
I'm trying to fix the doc because you added this giant thing in here that I'm trying. There we go. Okay, so other ways you can support the show with your producership is with your time and your talent. We have jingles you can send us and artwork you can send us. We do have a jingle from Joe. He put together a CERN jingle.
Nope.
So let's check this out.
That gap that is created is the actual tearing of the veil and realizing a gateway, a doorway to another parallel dimension.
Whoa.
Gates of the gods. Very good, Joe.
Very
Thank you
fun.
for that.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had some CERN news.
Yeah, it's good that we might have a CERN jingle there, and also, of course, the artwork.
One art, please.
We always appreciate the hand-drawn, most of the time, art. First one we will get to is from producer Ali.
Oh, yes.
Gazlin Bonds in the chat. It's a picture.
Oh, my gosh.
It's
this
Joe
is
Biden.
Terrifying.
I know. It's Joe Biden. And it's labeled, "Some of the left outraged over vaccine effects on Biden." And he just looks totally freaked out.
He's got this crazy smile. Very well done, Ali. Captured his insanity perfectly.
And then on the bottom it says, "You're just a turtle pickle turkey face, aren't you?" Yeah, that's what I told him.
I don't know if that's something he actually said, but it sounds like something he would say.
I hope that's a real quote from a Joe clip.
Turtle pickle turkey face. Very good, producer Ali. Always a pleasure. And wow, she just keeps getting better and better.
I know. And next up we have producer. It's Barzilai. Producer Barzilai. He's the one that does the I Spy for Canary Cry.
Yeah. Oh, we have the new Canary Cry I Spy. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is very well done. This is a little bit more of well, I guess they're all sort of apocalyptic scenes, but we've got giant Trump and giant Biden just standing in flames, duking it out. We've got Jetpack Man up there, Gons. I don't know if you see him.
I see Jetpack Man. I see some
Nice
drones.
You know what we missed? We missed the third sighting of Jetpack Man.
No, we mentioned it.
No, not the third one. We mentioned the second one.
No, we mentioned it. I had video. Remember?
I think you're mistaken. There was
you know what it is? You dropped it. I had it, and you're like, "Oh, Jetpack Man again?"
I don't think that's true.
Yes, that's 100% true. I remember setting up for the episode.
That's not true.
No, I had the video.
Into the history.
You can go back on the history, but it's been deleted in the doc because you said Jetpack Man again. I remember the conversation.
I don't know about that.
But there was video.
Just because you remember it doesn't mean it happened, Gons. We all know we all remember the Pokemon incident. We won't get into it on the air.
I'm pretty sure we either showed it or you decided not to because
because it was last week.
It was last week. It was like 2 weeks ago. There's like video footage from the private plane of the guy, floating across over the ocean. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, that was the second one.
That was the third one.
The second one. Oh
that was the third sighting.
No, it wasn't. There was another one that happened just recently. Anyways, this doesn't matter. You're wrong. This one happened and we missed it. We didn't do it. Anyways, thank you for the Canary Cry I Spy. I'm trying to make sure to put this on social media. You can find things. You got to find all of the things like Samurai Gons, Basil Podcasters, and the ex-presidents, Samurai Kitties. Let's see, Flippy with a party hat, Friendly Canary, LAX Rocket Man. Oh, there he is. Vaccine Bot, etc., etc. These are always very fun. So see if you can find them all with the Canary Cry I Spy.
Yeah, go to canarycrynewstalk.com, scroll down to the episode page there, and you'll see both the image and also the list, so you can play I Spy with Canary Cry.
There we go.
Last of the art, we have producer Grace coming in with this puzzling piece here. She has a note to explain what's going on here. It's a very squiggly line with just a whole bunch of stuff happening. Grace said, this art was inspired by the article about how AI needs sleep because they are starting to mimic the human brain too much. If they don't get rest, they hallucinate. It also reminded me of Do Robots Dream of Electric Sheep? The picture from the article inspired the painting I did. This was from episode 285 Monday. So do AI dream or hallucinate of electric sheep? There are little sheep if you zoom in.
Oh yeah, there's cute little sheep in there.
Zoom in.
This is beautiful. What a beautiful piece, producer Grace. And yes, there are indeed little sheep in there.
Yeah.
And I'm still terrified at the fact that AI start to hallucinate if they don't sleep.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
I feel like my iPhone does that too. You leave it on for too many days, it just kind of gets squirrely.
Yeah. Well, it's time to find the alternative for the iPhone anyway.
Yeah, I'm about to smash this thing.
Yeah.
But you want to hear some reviews?
Yeah, let's do it.
We got a fun one.
Yeah, let's hear a review.
So leaving ratings and reviews is an awesome way to support the show, and we do read all of them, and we love them. Have not read any in 2021, but there's just a handful here. So first of all, we've got a 5-star from Ms. Desi, 1980, or Ms. Des. Let me make that bigger. Yes. And simply, truth. Thank you. You're welcome. We appreciate it. There's another one came in from For the Remnants. I'm not sure how they're doing it, but they're able to leave multiple reviews, and I support it. This is 5 stars from For the Remnant. This is a 5-star rating and review. A rating is quantified expression of intangible value. A review is words describing the quality behind the quality. A 1-star review is like Basil pimping out your attention with a pithy statement like everyone likes waffles. A 5-star review is like Basil dropping truth bombs like, quote, subjecting yourself to advertisements makes you an informed consumer like standing in a garage makes you a car. This is really good. And this is a throwback to, or a reference at least, to how I describe leaving ratings and reviews on the Joyspiracy theory. So now I know For the Remnant listens to the Joyspiracy theory. Thank you very much. We have another 5-star review here from TR Lester, Canary Cry News Talk, hands down the most informative, accurate, and current podcast out there. These two young men bring the information we are all searching for without the hype and brainwashing the mainstream narrative is trying to sell as news. They go to great lengths to make sure the information they use comes from reliable sources, and I appreciate that. They are well grounded in biblical teaching and present current news in the light of Christ's teaching. I so appreciate them. They have been my lifeline of reason during this entire COVID mess. That's how I survived the misinformation stream of rhetoric that has been spewing and is still coming at us today. Can't say enough about this podcast. My son shared it with me, and I share it with all my friends and family. I encourage you to listen and do the same. Stellar, spread the word. Thank you so much, TR Lester. That's wonderful review of the podcast, and makes me feel so warm and fuzzy inside.
This one's for him.
Everybody loves waffles.
Now, here's the one, Gons, that I'm so excited for you.
Uh-oh.
The one for you that I was excited for everybody to hear because it's so hilarious. 1 star.
Oh.
1 star. It's been a while.
Oh, yeah.
From Rancho Dan.
Oh.
And here we go. We'll see if this sounds like us. Typical Trump-loving evangelicals. Just a couple of supposed Christ followers who forgot their allegiance should only be to Jesus. They condemn anything from the left. Can't even bring themselves to admit that there might be racism in our country in spite of all the black people killed by police, and trip all over themselves to excuse Trump and everything he says and his followers do. Just plain garbage. Well, I won't argue with that last part. It might just be just plain garbage. This is a person obviously either has never listened to the show or listened to about 5 minutes of one show. I can't imagine a show. If you listen to a full show, especially in the past 3 months or 2020, no, forget that. I don't know. This is obviously somebody who has not listened to one entire show. There you go, Gons. Just a couple of supposed Christ followers who forgot their allegiance should only be to Jesus.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. I mean, hey, if you're going to leave a review and you don't know much about the show, that's still better than not leaving a review. So
that's true. It still gets attention.
We thank you for your vitriol.
Yeah. They condemn anything from the left and can't even bring themselves to admit that there might be racism in our country despite all of the black people killed by police and trip all over. Sorry, I enjoyed reading that so much. Well, thank you, Rancho Dan, for leaving your comments. Next, let's see. Yep, and lastly, 5 stars from Chakra 709. Makes you think. I am a senior producer to this podcast, and even though I don't understand it all, I thoroughly enjoy it. You learn about things you never hear anywhere else and how it relates to the Bible. An edifying podcast. Thanks, Basil and Gons. Keep expanding my world. And that's from Sharon Craig.
Right,
thank you very much,
Sharon.
Producer Sharon Craig. And there you go. That's all of our ratings and reviews. And thank you to everyone who left reviews. Yes, even you, Rancho Dan. If you ever hear this, I hope.
I know. I hope he hears it.
I want him to hear it. I want him to know that I read it on the show.
That's the one thing. There's content creators out there. A lot of times, people ask me, like, how are you even able to deal with the negative comments and the thing? And it's kind of like, yeah, it stinks. And sometimes I'll push back and, counter or whatever. But for the most part, yeah, it is. You got to grow some thick skin. But for the most part, it's kind of, there's a part of you that has to remember, wow, they sat through that whole thing and they actually listened. Well, maybe not Rancho Dan, or maybe he was, I don't know, maybe he was ranching while doing it, and he was only hearing certain parts or whatever. But they're actually responding to something you put out there, negative or positive. You got to appreciate that they took the time to do it. So
they gave us their attention for long enough to tell us how much they hated it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Negative comments are fun. Should we pull some from the YouTube channel too, just for therapeutic purposes?
That's a whole nother awful thing.
Okay.
Reviews are one thing. The toxicity on YouTube that's too much. But there you go, folks. So thank you very much for those ratings and reviews. And I encourage everyone, yes, even if you're like Rancho Dan and you're just listening to literally the 30 seconds of me asking for a review, please go leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts and tell us what you think of the show. It really helps the algorithms share the show out with the world. And again, yes, we must we're tricking the algorithms, and people think we're bending the knee. No, we're manipulating the algorithms to our own will here. So thank you very much. Again, Apple Podcasts, Canary Cry News Talk, leave a review. Thank you. Okay. We have a birthday today, Gons. We're almost done with the break, folks. Don't worry. But we did want to say a very happy birthday to producer. This is a producer. She's on the Canary Cry prayer team. And it is Amanda R. It's Amanda R's birthday.
All right. Well, celebrate Amanda R's birthday the only way we know how.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to...
Yes, very happy birthday. And thank you for being a part of the prayer team. Very important part of another thing created by producers of the show for other listeners and producers of the show. We enjoy the fact that exists so much. And Amanda is Frappyholic on Twitch. Let's see. Have you seen Frappyholic in the chat today? I hear she's working today, so she might not be listening live. But thank you and happy birthday,
there
Amanda.
she is.
Oh my gosh, she's here. Where is she?
I see her.
I
She
don't see
said,
her.
"Thanks,
Oh,
guys."
there she is. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And okay, there we go. All right. Anything else? Am I missing something?
Yeah. So Jade Bouncerson, thank you for the timestamps.
Thank you.
They, for some reason, they posted the comment, but it got lost in the YouTube cyber hole. It just disappeared. So luckily, I got the message and I was able to post the comment and put it in the description. So
great.
Really appreciate that for the last episode for 286. So I know those are time consuming, and maybe we got to figure out a better way to communally do that, just so it doesn't fall on like one person.
Yeah, well, maybe if another producer out there who likes to catch the maybe there can be like a group of people and they kind of figure out who can watch the live show and leave those. I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to put more work on somebody to coordinate that. But if you are interested in helping out the show by doing timestamps, like if you try, if you make it to the live broadcasts every show or a couple times a week, let us know. And the timestamps are very important to the long-lasting effect of the show, because on YouTube, people like having the ability to skip around on the timestamps and not have to listen to the whole thing. So there you go. If you're interested in that, send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com.
Yep. We also, just real quick, Yep. Canary Cry merch birch.
Oh, sorry. I was reading something. Canary Cry merch birch. That is our producer-created, producer-run merch place. If you want any Canary Cry merch, Canary Cry merch birch is the place to go. All costs are, or everything is sold at cost to keep it cheap for the Canarians there. But you do have the option to tip the artist, tip the webmaster, and you can also tip Gonz and I. But please consider tipping the artist and the webmaster, especially for putting so much hard work into making that merch available. And also, we got a message from producer Isaac about the Canary Cry calendar. He says, as of right now, I only have 10 left in stock. The only way that I will be able to get more is to do another print run. And at this point with calendars, I don't want to have a lot of obsolete inventory left over. They will be on a first come, first serve basis. So if somebody has one sitting in their cart planning to check out later, order ASAP. So there you go, folks. There's only a few of the Canary Cry calendars left. So if you want them, go get them now. Gonz, producer Isaac said he sent mine to you, so you'll have to send that to me.
Perfect.
Okay, there you go. Go get your Canary Cry calendar and head over to canarycrymerchbirch.com.
And real quick, just want to mention the Connect offline meetup, or I guess it's online. It's not offline.
Zoom, yeah.
Zoom. Ciara is doing her, she's organizing the Zoom call, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday. That's tomorrow, the 16th, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
does that have her email on it?
It does. CiaraLauren93 at gmail.com.
Yeah, let's just say it out loud for the podcast listeners.
Yeah, the listeners, it's CiaraLauren93 at gmail.com. CiaraLauren93 at gmail.com. And again, this will be posted as well in the show notes area, canarycrynewstalk.com. So go check it out, and you'll see the flyer here.
Yep, go do it and be there. And Gonz and I try our best to pop in every once in a while to those meetups.
Yeah,
what date? What is the date? Is this the 20th?
I thought it was tomorrow.
Oh,
it doesn't have a date.
Be able to try to pop in there tomorrow.
Third Saturday. Oh, third Saturday. So it would be next week?
I think she mentioned it. Anyways, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
So there you go. You can meet other Canarians and chat, and it's a good time.
Very good.
All right. Is it time to wake up?
Yep.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
And we are doing some Waccine updates.
Waccine.
Waccine. A pandemic special.
Yeah, so first, CNBC.com, Moderna CEO says the world will have to live with COVID forever.
Oh no, that's not a great thing for somebody who made a vaccine to say about it.
No, see, you need a sick population to keep vaxing them.
You're supposed to make it go away. Why are you saying it's going to be here forever?
Well, I made a video about the problem with Moderna here. They've been around for over, I think, about 10 years now, maybe longer. What is it, 2021? Yeah, about 10 years. The COVID-19 vaccine is their first product to go to actual production, get past all the FDA stuff.
Yeah.
And this guy, Stephen Bancel, who's the CEO of Moderna, he is not a scientist. Just keep that in mind. Not a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
Says here, CEO of COVID-19 vaccine maker Moderna warned Wednesday that the coronavirus that has brought world economies to a standstill and overwhelmed hospitals will be around, quote, forever.
Oh, no.
Public health officials and infectious disease experts have said there is a high likelihood that COVID-19 will become an endemic disease, meaning it will become present in communities at all times, though likely at lower levels than it is now. Moderna CEO Stephen Bancel appeared to agree Wednesday that COVID-19 will become endemic, saying SARS-CoV-2 is not going away. We are going to live with this virus, we think, forever. He said during a panel discussion at the J.P. Morgan Healthcare Conference.
J.P. Morgan.
Well, whatever. Anyway, that's there's no point to
dig not
deeper.
Much else to say there, except for not really a big surprise. I mean, there's a lot of diseases that we live with all the time. Cold, the flu.
Well, that's just it,
happen.
Though. That's just it, though, and it goes to show that this whole thing was propaganda at its finest, really, because they literally weaponized something that is like the common flu, and our response to it, the psychological attack that happened on the world population, and I think the panic of the medical professionals. It's quite the hopefully
more than that, shutting down of the economies.
Well,
I mean,
they talk about
they talk about this ruined our economy. No, you ruined our economy.
You guys ruined. You guys, again, as the theme goes, this is I feel like this whole thing was to cover up so much for the economic crash, which was going to happen anyway.
Right.
The economy was struggling, and they were printing trillions even before COVID. It just so happens that the virus let everything stop and blame it on the virus.
The schedule, the recession schedule, we were past due for a recession.
Oh, way past, yeah.
They happen about every 10 years, more or less, and 2008 being the big one, of course. And we were 12 years, which is a couple years past the recession schedule. So this was a good way to kind of hide that.
And by the way, people have asked me, like, how is the stock market going up? Why does the stock market keep going up? But the economy's falling apart. It's hiding the inflation.
Yeah.
There's printing so many dollars. The dollar's being devalued. But to hide inflation, they're pumping up real estate, they're pumping up stocks, and that's why certain people are going into gold, silver, and Bitcoin. That's part of the reason why, because it's an actual asset class rather than just something frivolous like stocks. I guess stocks are somewhat real.
No, they're considered protective. Well, but that's exactly the point. I mean, and the thing with stocks is it's mainly big tech stocks going up.
Yeah.
There's plenty of stocks that are not doing so well.
Exactly. And, I haven't gone on my Newsom rant. I've been saving it. It's been brewing, Basil.
Newsom rant. Are you going to do that today? Or
no, I won't. I won't go into it fully, but there is a petition to get him out of office, which I think it's got over 1 million signatures at this point.
Yeah, it's over half the way there, I heard.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty close. But also, just some of the stuff they're planning to do with real estate is out of control. Out of control. And it's not good because, not that it was any good before that banks can come in and buy up foreclosed homes and stuff like that. But now they've basically put in place a law that says individuals or the government has first dibs on any foreclosed homes.
Yeah, I heard that. That is insane.
Insane. That is
just
China.
California. That's a Newsom thing.
That's a Newsom thing. So
yeah, with China, but already owning much of the land in California, that'll be just great.
Yeah.
Is it to protect against China?
Yeah, right. That's fun. That's a good joke. That's a good one. I'll write that one down.
One other angle on the economy thing, and I've heard this in defense of the just to take a step back, talking about the recession. I've heard this in defense of the situation. We were set for a recession, and usually they just sort of happen. But I've heard that they may have, used this event, the coronavirus, in order to I don't know if cover up is the right word that we used earlier, but what it did was create almost a new economy where they transferred where the regular economy, there's lots of restaurants and events and entertainment and things like that. Whereas instead of everything being deflated because of just the normal cycles, with a big event like this, they were able to, again, have an excuse to shut down large portions of the economy while inflating other portions of the economy, like big tech, Zoom, Amazon, delivery services, streaming services, things like that.
You mean they planned a great reset? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, you got me. You got me. Yeah, exactly. Okay, moving on. Where is it here? Oh gosh, where are we? Here we are. Okay, this is coming from New York Times, and it says here, Microsoft, Oracle, and Salesforce join a push for digital vaccination credentials. Just a little update here on your vaccine ID. Airlines, workplaces, and sports stadiums may soon require people to show their coronavirus vaccination status on their smartphones before they can enter. A coalition of leading technology companies, health organizations, and nonprofit groups, including Microsoft, Oracle, Salesforce, Cerner, Epic Systems, the MITRE Corporation, and the Mayo Clinic, announced on Thursday morning that they were developing technology standards to enable consumers to obtain and share their immunization records through health passport apps. For some period of time, most of us are going to have to demonstrate either negative COVID-19 testing or an up-to-date vaccination status to go about the normal routines of our lives. And that's the key right there that they don't necessarily mention, because you'll see up top, they're talking about sports stadiums and airlines. They do mention workplaces, but you need this. You're going to need this demonstration, as they call it. You need to demonstrate just to go about your normal routines. This is not special things like concerts and yada, yada. This is just to get back to normal, the new normal, as they like to say. Project blah, 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 blah. That will happen, Dr. Perkins added. Quote, whether it's getting on an airplane and going to a different country, whether it's going to work, to school, to the grocery store, to live concerts or sporting events, vaccine passport apps could fill a significant need for airlines, employers, and other businesses. Notice how they keep hammering the airlines thing. In the United States, the federal government has developed paper cards that remind people who receive coronavirus vaccinations of their vaccine manufacturer, batch number, and date of inoculation. But there is no federal system that consumers can use to get easy access to their immunization records online and establish their vaccination status for work or travel. A few airlines, back to the airlines, including United Airlines, JetBlue, are already trying out Common Pass, a health passport app from the Commons Project. The app enables passengers to retrieve their coronavirus test results from their blah, 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 blah. Who was it who was involved in the Commons Project again? We did a whole segment on the Commons Project.
Yeah.
Let me look at this.
I don't remember. But yeah, Microsoft, Oracle, not surprising here that they're leading the charge here with all this stuff. And, you know, this was expected. It's funny because at the beginning of the whole scandemic last year, people were like, oh, they're just going to make it so you can't travel and, you know, you're going to have a vaccine passport and blah, blah, blah. And people were like, that's crazy. You QAnon pushing crazy rat wing. And now it's just headlines on New York Times.
Yeah. Just another thing that the conspiracy theorists were right about.
Yeah.
Called it.
Scanning the Commons Project, trying to figure out who was
that was
involved.
like a UK. Wasn't it a UK thing or was it American?
No, there was somebody involved that it was like, oh yeah, of course.
Was it the people that do the scans at the airport?
Oh, that was Clear. No, I think they're a competitor to Clear.
Okay. Well, there's a few of them out there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's okay. I'll scan here. You can take the next story.
Okay. Let's see. This next one, I alluded to it earlier. This is from Axios.com. Why COVID demands genetic surveillance. Genetic surveillance.
Oh, okay.
Seemingly
Hold
more.
On. Sorry. Let's pause for a second. Yeah. So included in this is Matt Anestis, a BlackRock guy. We've got Kamal Umakrane, a United Nations guy. We've got, oh my gosh, so many of them. We've got the U.S. Chief Technology Officer for CARE, Virginia Secretary of Technology. Yeah, I forget. It's just all of them. It's like a power team. It's the all-star team of the globalization agenda.
It's the New World Order team.
Yeah, it's like the B team. It's like the New World Order B team.
The
B team. We're on the first stringers. You got the Bill Gates. You got the Klaus Schwabs. This is kind of like the second stringers all got together. Oh my gosh, there's like 100 of them.
Yeah. Well.
Wow.
It's further down the pyramid, so there's a wider range.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bigger group because they're further down the pyramid. Yeah. Or there's just so many of them. It's like they're trying to hide. I feel like they're trying to hide someone in here. Like I'm going to come across one of them, and it's going to be crazy. Okay, I'll keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt. I thought I had it.
Okay. Well, I was going to play a jingle anyway.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
Axios.com headline. What was it here? Why COVID demands genetic surveillance. A seemingly more transmissible coronavirus variant is threatening the world and exposing the U.S.'s lackluster genetic surveillance.
Ooh.
Why it matters. A beefed-up program to sequence the genomes of infectious diseases, disease pathogens, infections, could help the U.S. identify dangerous new coronavirus variants and get the jump on pathogens that could ignite the pandemics of the future. Yeah, I mean, so you get the point. They want genetic surveillance. Genetic surveillance of coronavirus variants in the U.S. lags well behind dozens of other countries. Yada, yada, yada. And it's just how horrible the U.S. is. Be smart. The bottleneck here isn't scientific. Genetic sequence has gotten faster and cheaper. No, it has, hey? This is
better, bigger, tastier.
And every state in the U.S. has the technical capacity to decode viral genomes. Rather, the U.S. lacks the kind of unified national genetic surveillance program adopted by the U.K., which in the spring invested 20 million francs, it's about $27 million, pounds, to launch a scientific consortium that standardized the sequencing and reporting of coronavirus variants. That's another thing, we talk about globalism and the New World Order. And this has been the perfect tool to really bring it about because standardization of having like a worldwide standard to count deaths or whatever it is, it just came to the forefront, in the scientific dictatorship. And it's just like the perfect excuse to standardize everything. But yeah, while the CDC in May brought together dozens of labs in an effort to accelerate sequencing, current efforts are typically passive, reactive, uncoordinated, and underfunded. I mean, maybe because it's not that big of an issue, and maybe because we don't want genetic surveillance of all of the population.
Yeah, what does that mean, do you think? What does that look like?
Well,
how do you even genetically surveil?
they want to have like a fuller picture of the virus itself, which tells me that they don't. Right?
Well, which we know they don't.
We know they don't. And then secondly, to obviously have a genetic, surveillance upon all human beings, so that we must we won't get the coronavirus. It's killing so many of us.
Is this given a cheek swab every time you go to work?
No, it's opening your mouth at a hole in a wall and having a robot arm come through and swab you as you say,
better be careful. There's going to be somebody taking that clip, and it's not going to turn out good.
I have video footage.
Yes, the COVID robot.
It's the Flippy. It's the Flippy that you.
Robot.
It's the Flippy that you rejected today.
Yes, because we've done the COVID test robot twice now.
I know, but
you don't need to do another one.
Not the ones that do it through a wall.
Okay, you're right. You're right. We have not done the COVID testing Flippy that does it through a wall, a hole in a wall.
Here's another story from Newsweek. Do you want to take this one real quick? I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's something that we suspected.
Newsweek. Where are we?
COVID lockdowns may have no clear benefit versus other voluntary measures, international study shows. So why are we locking down? What was the point of locking down?
Well, we've read this story recently, so I think we can just skip this one.
We read it?
When the studies started coming out that the lockdowns don't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Bigger study.
Okay, I'll zoom through. A study evaluating COVID-19 responses around the world found that mandatory lockdown orders early in the pandemic may not provide significantly more benefits to slowing the spread of the disease than other voluntary measures, such as social distancing or travel reduction. The peer-reviewed study was published in the European Journal of Clinical Investigation on January 5th and analyzed coronavirus case growth in 10 countries in early 2020. The study compared cases in England, France, Germany, Iran, Italy, Netherlands, Spain, and the U.S. Interesting how Iran is just kind of thrown in there. All countries, it's all Europe and U.S. and then Iran. All countries that implemented mandatory lockdown orders and business closures to South Korea and Sweden, which instituted less severe voluntary responses. It aimed to analyze the effect that less restrictive or more restrictive measures had on changing individual behavior and curbing the transmission of the virus. The researchers used a mathematical model to compare countries that did and did not enact more restrictive lockdown orders, then determined there was, quote, no clear significant beneficial effect of more restrictive measures on case growth in any country. Quote, we do not question the role of all public health interventions or of coordinated communications about the epidemic, they call it here, but we fail to find an additional benefit of stay-at-home orders and business closures, the research said. However, the researchers also acknowledged that the study had limitations and noted that cross-country comparisons are difficult since nations may have different rules, cultures, and relationships between their government and citizenry. The study was conducted by researchers affiliated with Stanford University and was co-authored by Jay Bhattacharya. Okay, one more time.
We're
Bhattacharya. A professor of medicine and economics who has been a vocal opponent of coronavirus lockdowns since March.
So, I mean, it's just, it's bothersome that they're publishing this stuff now. And ironically, the whole article ends with Biden, saying the quote of Biden, I'm not going to shut down the economy, I'm going to shut down the virus. And just making it seem like,
Shut Biden down,
but
Joe.
the timing of it all, like Biden's about to take office, so now we can publish these stories.
All those lockdowns that Trump did were bad, and now Biden won't lock down. That's good.
Even though everybody was saying Trump's not listening to the science.
Yeah,
lockdown, the science.
History won't show.
Just listen to the authorities.
Now is the time to do what you're told.
And maybe doing what we're told is walking around in ridiculous-looking helmets. SanFranciscoGate.com, Magari. I tested the darndest PPE of all time, the rich guy COVID helmet. And there's a picture of a guy in what looks like literally like a spaceman helmet.
I was looking at this the other day, and I was wanting to buy one, but they are so expensive.
How much are they?
They're like $300.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, I thought it would be funny. Like, it seems like a funny joke to go out and wear this. Wanted to do it sort of sarcastically, but that's an expensive joke. If anybody wants to fund an expensive joke of mine, send me an email.
I think it's better to walk around with the Mandalorian mask as an excuse.
That would be better. But this is such a wonderful satire on just
life.
The paranoia, COVID paranoia. It's literally a space helmet with filters and fans and HEPA filters and a big glass dome. You feel like Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, flat Earth was true for these folks. There's a firmament around your head.
Yeah, for those who are just listening to the podcast, I don't know how else to explain it. It's a Buzz Lightyear helmet, $300 Buzz Lightyear helmet. It's great.
Yeah, well,
it's stylish.
Couple more disturbing stories here.
Welcome to Chinese News.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
This is the nextweb.com. Surveillance group exposes disturbing Huawei patent for AI-powered Uighur detection, or Uighur? I don't know.
Uighur.
Yeah, we always debate about that.
I think we decided on Uighur.
Okay, Uighur detection. And in a couple paragraphs, a Huawei patent that mentions AI-powered identification of Uighur people and other ethnic groups has been discovered. The patent was exposed by video surveillance research group IPVM, the same organization that had previously spotted reference to an AI Uighur alarm on Huawei's website, as well as evidence that Alibaba had offered Uighur detection as a service.
Oh my gosh. Uighur detection as a service.
That
for those who need an update.
terrifying.
Yeah, for those who need an update, Uyghurs are the Muslim minority in China who are persecuted, put into literal concentration camps. They shave their hair and sell it as wigs. They're basically a slave class in China. Horrible things happening to those people. Yeah, and Alibaba offering a Uyghur detection as a service would be like Amazon offering the Republican detection as a service or something like that.
I mean, that's pretty much
not equal, but
not,
you get the point.
Not equal in the consequences as of yet, but I mean, they're practically doing something pretty, I mean, very, very similar. I wouldn't say the
whatever.
same.
You can put any people group in there and it's horrible.
Yeah. So anyway, the AI being used by China is certainly not the most wholesome. And then one more story here that relates to China and NASA, two of our favorite groups of things. The Epoch Times.
From the Epoch Times here, the headline reads, NASA researcher pleads guilty to concealing China ties. Oh no, and I'm behind a paywall, so that's all you get to know.
Oh, I'll read it. A senior NASA scientist pleaded guilty on January 13th to lying about his ties to a Chinese-backed program designed to harvest talent from the West and transfer intellectual property to China, the Justice Department announced. Maya Pan, 66, joined NASA in 1996 and has been the chief scientist for exploration technology at NASA's Ames Research Center in California's Silicon Valley since 2006. He was charged with one count of making false statements and could face a maximum 5 years prison sentence and up to $250,000 fine if convicted, according to a Justice Department press release. The court hearing is scheduled for June 16th. Prosecutors said that Mayapan had participated in China's state-run 1,000 Talents Plan and held positions at universities in China, South Korea, and Japan without NASA's knowledge. The 1,000 Talents program had recruited thousands of experts globally since its inception in 2008, according to Chinese state media reports. And yada, yada, yada. But, my take on this. This is, I think this is propaganda.
Hot take.
Yeah, hot take. Propaganda to bring NASA back into the good light of the American skeptics. Because we have a greater threat What's the greater threat? Just NASA lying about the moon landing, or the Chinese Communist Party taking over all of our smartest people, a brain drain to China?
So you think they're hiding their own sins by pointing fingers at China?
I think this has been the plan, and because obviously the China thing is horrible. We don't. That's not to say we agree with China on anything, especially the CCP more specifically. But I don't know. This is like good PR for NASA. Like, oh, they're doing something American. They're an good American company.
Well, for an organization that was originally staffed by Nazis.
That was my other point, is that this is this is almost like the chickens coming home to roost for the Project Paperclip, where the United States took all of the smartest Nazi scientists and brought them over to start NASA. So this is kind of like the same kind of tactic now being played upon the Americans.
Well, there you go, folks. No surprises here.
Nope. And altogether, they're hiding the firmament from the public, right? This is not what the narrative is.
That's one of the theories, yes.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Well, did we do it?
I think we did it, yep.
We did it. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We will be back on Monday, which is the 18th of January. That's right, January 18th, sometime between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure to turn on notifications. If you haven't done it yet, hit the like button over there on YouTube. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
All right, there you go. And like I mentioned before, go ahead and make sure to leave ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts for Canary Cry News Talk. I'll be reading more reviews next Friday, so make them good, folks. And remember, we'll be back on Monday the 18th, and we will need some producers. So if you've been considering becoming a producer of Canary Cry News Talk, now is a great time. So you can do that by heading over to patreon.com/CCNT or canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. We invite you to join us in disconnecting our media from corporate money, and that's what we like to do here. It's time for all of us to take responsibility and stop letting Mommy and Daddy Corporation to decide the value and the content of the media that we all partake in on a regular basis. So if that sounds like a mission that you can get on board with, thanks a lot. And also head over to canarycryradio.com/support. Now, there's other ways you can support the show. Send in your art or your music or your jingles. We'll be having the Canary Cry mixtape at the end of the show here. For all you musicians, we do play full songs. Whatever you create, make it related to Canary Cry News Talk or the subjects we cover, and we'll get you on the show. We appreciate that very much. You can send that all to canarycryradio@gmail.com. So thank you very much for that. Also, go ahead, and this is becoming an option less and less nowadays, but take an episode and share it on your social media. Thank you very much for those who do that. It helps new people find the show, and especially if they follow you or are your friends, that will help all the algorithms to advise them to take a listen to the show. Very helpful for us, but also very helpful for them. You never know. You may save a mind. I was going to say a life, but you may save a mind, especially in these confusing times. So there you go. And remember, y'all got friends and you got family who are starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems, and you should consider sharing the show with them as well. We take suggestions the best from our friends and our family who have our best interests in mind. So take an episode, share it with them. You can show them that we have what do we have? Timestamps on the YouTube video. So they don't have to listen to the whole thing. They can listen to topic by topic as well. Either way, if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. All right, folks. Thanks so much. Gonzi, got any last words?
The Billy Gates of hell will not prevail. Matthew 16. Matthew 16:18, except not the Billy part. Look it up.
Look it up.
Look it up.
And remember, folks, head over to the Canary Cry merch birch. We've also got canarycry.community, which is our social media forum for those who are looking for alternatives to all the big tech data collection services. And remember, there's the Canary Cry meetup tomorrow on Zoom. Email producer Ciara for that. And get connected. There's also info on that on the art that will be at canarycrynewstalk.com, or you can find it on canarycry.community. Okay, there we go. Well, like I said, we'll be back on Monday, January 18th, sometime between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure to be there. But until then, think outside the cage.
Before it is too late.
You can't handle the truth.
This is the way.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Bye, gold. Bye.
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
As they expose Babylon, there's a line drawn in That's where I started.
Light up a huge blunt.
A joint.
Give everybody
magic
mushrooms. Smoke. The CIA, I mean, lots of intelligence agencies have tested secretly dosing communities. LSD.
Psychoactive pills should be covertly administered. Just put me on some, I don't know.
Give you a shot in the butt. Fluoride, oxytocin. Get a chemical hug.
I did dabble, some of that robot crack. I know what it's like.
It's a lethal recipe for disaster. You need help.
If you're a pharmacist, you need to repent.
All right, weird.
Poly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
They'll suck your blood.
Politic.
Many bloodsuckers.
Politician. Politicians are politics.
Don't let them drain you all away.
Poly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
They'll suck your blood.
Politic.
Many bloodsuckers.
Politician. Politicians are politics.
Don't let them drain you all the way. Don't let them drain you all the way.
Left wing. Right wing. 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 Left wing. Right wing.
Two wings, same bird. Two wings, same bird. Two wings, same bird. Two wings, same bird.
Poly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
They'll suck your blood.
Politic.
Many bloodsuckers.
Politician. Politicians are politics.
Don't let them drain you all the way. 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 Don't let them drain you all the way.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
Don't even get me started on bidets, man. Bidets, man. Bidets, man. I'm telling you, you were living the life, man. Bidets, man.
It's a bidet. Don't get me started.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
People, I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You and you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.